A dangerous junction in Assen. Not all Dutch cycling infrastructure is well designed. People sometimes gloss over problems due to poor design, but progress is possible only if we learn from past mistakes. This area is recent in design and construction. Nevertheless, it's awful for cyclists. Cyclists conflict with other cyclists, with the pedestrians and with motorists. From this viewpoint, we can see the problems very easily. Poor design leads to conflict and chaos. Drivers have to stop for pedestrians at crossings like this, but not for cyclists. Cyclists wait awkwardly in the middle of the road. You may be surprised that this woman is cycling in the wrong direction. She's doing so because it's the only way to reach the cycle parking for this building. These cyclists have no conflict with cars or with pedestrians, and so they find it relatively easy to make a left turn. But it's not like that all the time. We will see examples in this video. Note how often drivers encroach into the cycle lane. Cycle lanes on corners always have this problem. The design causes drivers to have to pass very close to cyclists. Some people have given up on riding on the road here, and ride along the pavement. They then cross the road as pedestrians, this being the only way to get priority when crossing. Watch the person with the disability buggy. Someone like this is quite vulnerable. Do they feel safe when being passed by a van that close by? The driver of a van like this cannot see through his vehicle to know whether cyclists are in the cycle lane that he's crossing. Cyclists can only cross easily if a pedestrian crosses at the same time. The design of this road encourages many drivers to make a U-turn at this location. Cycle lanes encourage cyclists to stay on the right of the road all the way up to the junction. Not to do so invites the wrath of car drivers who wish to overtake. Many, but not all drivers, stop for the pedestrian crossing. In this case, crossing only became possible once someone wanted to cross without a bicycle. Cycle lanes surely are supposed to be for cyclists. Cycle lanes cannot provide any safety or any utility to cyclists if they are routinely used by motor vehicles. Pedestrians can mostly get across quite easily, but watch the cyclists. Is this a location where you'd want your child to have to wait when riding home from school? She would eventually be able to continue when some pedestrians cross the road. However, not all pedestrians are confident the drivers will stop for them. Watch how this young woman crosses the road. Note that the design encourages drivers to stop in front of cyclists and block their way. Left turns can be tricky here when it's busy. From the other side of the junction we get a different view of how this design causes conflict. Look how wide the road is, yet how little space is allocated for the many cyclists of Assen. Very many motor vehicles use the cycle lanes to make a U-turn, including many taxis. The blue number plate indicates a taxi. Many private cars also turn right across the cycle lane at this point. It's difficult for a driver to do this safely because it's difficult to turn your head by 180 degrees to see into the cycle lane. Watch how oncoming cyclists deal with this junction. They first have to be bold and increase speed in order to pull out in front of a car. Then they immediately have to slow down because of the pedestrians on the pedestrian crossing. Cars then stop for pedestrians on the pedestrian crossing, But they get in the way of cyclists trying to cross at the same point, because cyclists aren't supposed to use the zebra crossing. So this design maximises the inconvenience and danger for cyclists. No lack of space forced cyclists onto the road here. This is a very wide road, and much space is left unused on both sides of the road and in the middle. This road looks like this due to a choice made by the architects, who wish to have large expanses of unused pavement besides the road, while not giving cyclists their own space so that cycle journeys could be made in greater safety. If space had been allocated differently, it would have been possible for cyclists and motorists to cross at 90 degrees at this location, reducing the chance of collision and making it easier for each to see the other.